Welcome to the Darkstream, Voxday, voxday.blogspot.com. So, how many of you feel like we're still winning? How many of you felt like putting on your Trump Slide 2020 shirt, putting on your whatever it is, and how many of you are feeling discouraged, black-pilled, like surrendering, like giving up and running away? See, the thing is that you see a lot. Here's what I suspect, and here's something that I noticed. All right, the Christians are not fazed. The Christians are not surprised. The Christians, for the most part, are pretty relaxed about it. Why? Because we're told that the world's going to hate you. We're told that the world's going to turn on you. We've been reading since we were kids about, the mark of the beast and how you'll never be able to trade or buy things at the stores and so forth. So, a little thing like getting no platform from Twitter, or being told that you might get kicked off some platform or something. It doesn't matter. Here's something that stop lying that we have free speech. When did I ever tell you that we have free speech? I've never even been concerned about free speech. Have you ever seen me call myself a free speech advocate? Never once. I'm not entirely sure that free speech is something that is totally compatible with civilized society. Okay, it's fine. But the point is that what are the three fruits of the Spirit? Faith is one. Love is another. What's the third? Nope. Hope. Faith, hope, and love. The greatest of these is love. So we love our country. We love our nation. We love our family. We love our God. But we also have hope. We always have hope. And so, we don't know what the evil of the world is doing. We don't even always know who is on the side of good and who's on the side of evil and that sort of thing. There's some crazy stuff coming out about the, that march in Charlottesville, and how, I was astonished because, I don't know if you're aware, but I was invited to speak at it. I declined. So I didn't pay any attention to who was organizing it, what's going on, etc., etc. No, it's not game over. The globalists and the left have not won. Think about this. If you think that the globalists have won, then why are they amping up the volume? Why are they Why are they increasing the push now? Do they do that when they're in a position of strength? No. They are increasingly desperate. Why are they... Now here's the thing. Why are they increasingly desperate? Why are they losing? Because the historical trends that I've been telling you about, the economic waves, the social mood waves, all of these very big trends are sweeping them away. All right? We're not doing anything. That's what I've been, if you notice, I've been telling you this stuff. Even if they get control of the White House, even if Pence replaced Trump tomorrow, it would barely make a difference. No. This is the thing. I've been telling you for years, over a decade, that the United States is going to break up and collapse. It is going to. How? We don't know. When? We don't know. But we know that it will happen. The storms of history sweep everything away before them. Nobody thought that the Soviet Union... I was there in 1989. I saw it happen. We couldn't believe what was happening when the wall came down. We couldn't believe what was happening when Yeltsin and the Democrats took over for the communists. No one saw this coming. And so, when you listen to the music of that era in 1990, listen to the optimism there. Listen to the incredible joy. There's a song, one song in particular, I find it very, very difficult to listen to. It's Jesus Jones. Right here, right now. It is very, very difficult for me to listen to it now, simply because the optimism that we felt, it's so perfectly expressed, the optimism that we felt, and the way that we probably all would have reacted like Kurt Cobain if we'd had any idea, how completely the West would piss away that opportunity. And so, the thing is that, but the thing is that it does. I'm not going to sing it now. But the point is that the future is very, very seldom a linear trend from where things are the way things are now. And so, it's like they said in Star Wars, the more tightly they grip, the more star systems slip through their fingers. All right? They would not be increasing the pressure if they didn't know that things are changing rapidly. They're trying to hang on to a system that is crumbling. Now, how do I know this? How am I so certain about this? I'm absolutely certain about this because I read Francis Fukuyama. Francis Fukuyama was the prophet of the neoliberal globalist New World Order. And he wrote about the end of history. And he was so embarrassingly wrong about that. That he wrote 2 books trying to recover from it. So, all right, we're going to get rid of this guy. He's a shill trying to demoralize. One thing that I would encourage you guys to do, all of you, if you're on the right, what I encourage all of you to do is read whatever you can about the history of Gamergate. There's a book out. There's a book out about Gamergate. I encourage you to read it, or I encourage you to look up some of the Gamergate posts and so forth. And what you'll see is that we just ignored the negativity. All the stuff. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen my tweets when I tweet about the ride never ends. There's it's like the soldier. They're the soldier with the skull, and that's a Gamergate joke. That's a Gamergate meme. Because first, gamers were pronounced dead by 27 different journalist outlets on the same day. Gamers are dead. And then they were pronouncing Gamergate dead on a regular basis. I mean, we were joking about it all the time about, we're dead, Gamergate's dead again. And so, the main factor, here's another question for those of you, here's a little pop quiz for those of you who have read the 4th Generation Warfare Handbook. What is the most important element in winning a conflict? Of everything. Money, power, numbers. Now these guys have read it. Morale. Morale is the single most important element in winning a conflict. It doesn't matter how outnumbered you are. It doesn't matter how much more power the other side has. It doesn't matter. All right? But you have to keep in mind, yes, I understand. I mean, but here's the thing. Yeah, the left got a shot of morale. Do you have any idea how bad their morale has been? Do you have any idea of how desperate they needed a win like this? How desperately they needed it? The reason they needed it so badly, and think about this, they had to set it up. They had to set it up. And all they managed to do was to essentially discredit Richard Spencer again. So what? It's totally irrelevant. And so, you look at and also you need to keep in mind, here's another Gamergate. Here's another Gamergate thing. What who was the leader of Gamergate? No one. What was one of the rules of Gamergate? No leaders. No leaders, no easy targets. I am the leader of Gamergate, and so can you. Well, that's how it is for the right. I'm the leader of the right, and so can you. All right? All these guys who want to be leaders, Spencer wants to be a leader. Greg Johnson wants to be a leader. Ramsey Paul kind of wants to be a leader. All this sort of thing. They're completely missing the point. There are no leaders. Why are there no leaders? Because we are not a party. We are not a movement. We are a philosophy. Okay? Who is the leader of Greek Stoicism? Who's the leader of Stoicism? Who is the leader of skepticism? Who is the leader of existentialism? There are no leaders. You cannot kill an idea. Even if you wipe out every single person who holds that idea, these things make sure that the ideas survive. All right? So asking who the leader of the alt-right is a category error. Right, and here's the thing. And here's another... but no, that's not a problem. It says the problem is leadership roles are claimed and the media is only too happy to pick them up for us. Yes. You know what you do? You ignore what the media says. The media does not define reality. All right? And so, maybe what we need is a Vivian. Maybe what we need is a Vivian like we had in Gamergate, so that the people can, the media can attack Vivian. But what you have to get, of course, you say they do try though. Obviously, here's the thing that I don't understand. Do you not understand that in Gamergate, we already went through all of this? We developed all of these techniques. In order to avoid the very problems that you're talking about. They did the same thing that they did. With the alt-right, they do the same thing with Gamergate. They try to lift up and create a leader, point everyone at him, and smack him down. All right? That's what they're doing with Trump. They try to set up Bannon as a leader and then smack him down. They try to set up Trump and then beat him down. That's what they do. Spencer, Andrew Anglin, Pax, all these guys, they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're doing. They were not... But there doesn't need to be any strong white Christian leader. There shouldn't be any leaders at all. All right? And so, the whole... it's... like I said, you need to... And you think about it, what was the slogan of the American revolutionaries? Who did the American revolutionaries recognize as their king? No, Jesus was their king. No king but Jesus was their slogan. All right? That should be our slogan too. All right? Whether you are a Christian or not, if they ask you, who's the leader of the alternative right, just tell them the same thing. I follow Jesus. Why? Because you do. You do, even if you haven't realized it yet. Because if you follow the small t truth, that is your first step on the path to the large T truth. Because if you are of the right, then you're following the truth. The churches, again, are irrelevant. Who am I? I'm just a regular game designer. I'm just a writer. I don't lead anything. Well, the evil legion of evil, but that's different. And so the point is, but that's the point. It's not about following a person. Well, I'm not a Nazi and I'm not a white supremacist, so I don't know what you're talking about. First of all, I'm an American Indian, so I'm not really that inclined to I have no reason to recognize anyone else as being superior to me, especially with my IQ. I have actively opposed National Socialism openly and publicly since 2003. So, it's just ridiculous. So, the point is that the truth is what it is. A lot of people try to spin it and massage it, and they have this magical thinking that says that they can talk reality into being. But that's magical thinking. It doesn't work that way. And so, sometimes the truth is ugly. Sometimes it's nasty. That may be true that people who brag about their IQ are usually not too bright, but it's easily established fact. So, anyhow, so what the point is that what I was trying to get to is that what you're seeing with these so-called self-appointed leaders is the problem with having any leaders at all. I saw people, who was it, Pax, talking about how he's disavowing the movement because he's disappointed with so many people and blah, 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 and all this sort of thing. Well, that's the exact opposite of leadership. If you want to know what leadership is, read A Horse and His Boy by C.S. Lewis. Be the first to go to battle, the last to run, and laugh louder over a scantier meal than any man in the kingdom. So, it was on Twitter today. Now, I'm not criticizing him. He feels how he feels. But the point is that none of us should be at all affected by how somebody else feels about something. This was a minor setback. Charlottesville is a minor setback. Bannon leaving the White House is probably a step forward. Bannon was not able to accomplish much in the White House. He's not a bureaucrat. What was he going to do? There's a book, I'm not sure, I'll have to put it on the blog. I don't know the name of it. What does Trump Slide 2020 means? It means that Trump Slide is that Donald Trump is going to win easily re-election in 2020. All the stuff that you see happening, whether it's what happened in Charlottesville, whether it's what happened in Boston, whether it's what happened in Barcelona, all of those things are going to help Trump get reelected. Now, the one thing he needs to do to absolutely secure reelection is to build the wall. That's the only important thing. All this other stuff is irrelevant. No, but you don't understand what his base is. So, his base is not the alt-right. He's a civic nationalist. And so, and again, you have to keep what you have to keep in mind is that, once the wars start somewhere, all the equations change. All right? I'm not talking about these petty wars of occupation, like I'm not talking about these petty wars of occupation and something happening in Venezuela or whatever. But there's a lot of very dangerous stuff going on in the Far East right now, not all of which involves North Korea. And so, and what we're seeing is that the younger white people are moving increasingly to the right. And so, yeah, but think about that. Somebody just mentioned 5 cops shot last night, crickets from the media. Right. But do you think that that's not going to factor in when the campaigns begin? Do you think it's not going to factor? The media can score a lot of points in the short-term news cycle. So they can talk all they want about Charlottesville and murderers in cars and that sort of thing. Well, guess what? It's going to come out that Jason Kessler, who organized the event, is a left-wing activist. So the whole thing was something that the left set up intentionally. It's all going to come out. He's going to come out with a book saying "Among the Nazis" or something, and end up with a job at Media Matters, and everyone's going to understand that it's bullshit. And then when you've got and then also the guy who's driving the car is probably not going to end up being charged with anything serious. The situation that he was in is one that's been, there's plenty of legal precedent for it. They have video of the car getting hit first. Educated assumption. I don't think that the driver was actually a Clinton supporter. I'd be surprised about that. That would simply be too easy. No, he's been charged now, of course, but just wait. It's basically a George Zimmerman situation. The legality of the situation is pretty clear. And so, if you think about it, also, how much have you been hearing about the car and the driver? Do you notice they're not talking about it at all? No, they're not talking. They're not talking about it at all compared to how much they were talking about. I'm not talking about Charlottesville in general. I'm talking about the actual guy. There's very, very little information about him. Oh, okay, this person is just too stupid. And so, it's all very quiet. It's all, and that means that they know that there's nothing there. Yeah, I did see that Weave gave him an out, and I even told people that at the time that you shouldn't believe anything that Weave says because he's a troll. And then, of course, it came out that he was lying. That's why you don't pay attention to Weave, because he lies. He's not ashamed of it. He's a troll. It's something he does. So, anyhow, my advice is stay completely away from these organizations. Stay completely away from these rallies. They're totally irrelevant. How often do you see the NRA rally? They don't need to. That is a left-wing tactic. For those of us on the right, we have no need for it. No, there's no need for street activism whatsoever. What you need to do is you need to speak the truth. No, you don't need rallies and you don't need organizations. Following people is fine, whatever. If you want to, here's the thing. If you want to be useful and join an organization, join Antifa. You know, the most useful members of the VFM work at Apple and Google. All right? If you don't have organizations and you infiltrate the other side's organizations, you're in a vastly stronger strategic position. The true cons haven't, but no, you're totally wrong. The true cons haven't, but the true cons have been absolutely lying. Generation identity is different. The French are the rules in France are different. You know, the USA is not structured for that sort of thing. I mean, think about it. There's a reason why they have to hire people and pay them. Yeah, you can either talk the truth or infiltrate, but don't do both at the same time. That's a really bad idea. How do you get anything done without an organization? Why don't you read the 4GW handbook? All right. Any organization that you create will be infiltrated and destroyed. All right? So there's no reason to do it. If we get kicked off the internet, we build a new internet. You know? No, I would not go. I've never gone to a rally. I see no reason to go to a rally. Look, if you want to understand the way things are going to happen, then you need to study the history of countries that have broken up. You need to study the Soviet Union. You need to study Yugoslavia. You need to study all of those different historical situations, and then you will know what works and what doesn't. The only reason that rallies exist is for morale. We don't need it. The other thing that rallies are needed for is for politics. Again, don't need it. You know, all the rallies and all the theater and all that stuff, flash mobs would be okay. Flash mobs are probably fine. No, we do need morale. You see how many were black-pilled to begin. You sure we don't need morale? You're missing the point. The rallies are more likely to lead to negative morale results than positive. All right? You know, the rallies are a left-wing tactic. It's theater. It's bullshit. I would say that Charlottesville was probably a tactical loss, but I think that it probably was a very good educational experience for everyone. You know, I mean, you know, we already learned. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. I think you have to say that it was a tactical loss. I mean, there's no way you can. It was a tactical loss. You know? But see, this is just it. Pointless denial is foolish. If you deny things, you will not learn from them. Yes, you turned out in numbers, and then you got ambushed and ran. That's not a victory. Have you ever read about a battle where one side got surprised, ambushed, and ran away, that's not the side that won. That's the side that lost. All right? It happens. It's a setback. So what? You know? Yes, you did lose. You did not hold the field. You had to run away. That is a defeat. All right? Learn from it. If you don't admit that you lost, then it doesn't matter what you spent. Okay? If you get run off, then you lose. It's not a big deal. You know, you win some, you lose some. The only way that you win is to learn from your losses. Like I said, I think that it will turn out to be a very good thing, because if you learn from all this, if you learn, you know, don't do rallies in enemy territory if you're going to do them. You know, get rid of the swastika panties and all that sort of thing. You know, this is going to be a long process, a very long process. Roosh is very good when it comes to intersexual relations. Roosh is not someone that I would go to for strategy. So, no, I don't think doxing the alt-right would be useful. You know, the key is just make it clear that, you know, we don't stand for any left-wing philosophy. They're fake right. You know, the two rhetorical terms that we should be using are alt-left and fake right. And every symbol that is used should be strongly pro-American. You know, I mean, one of the effective memes in Europe has been the true Finns. Maybe the true Americans is the right way. Is the right way to do it. So, you know, the point is you need to make it clear what you're for. You know, true Americans is really good because that really tends to upset and trigger the paper Americans, the paperwork Americans. And so, I don't think that the alt-left outnumbers the alt-right. If they did, they wouldn't have to be paying them. So, but again, positive energy is much, much stronger than negative energy. You know, the reason that Trump won is because he was relentlessly positive about things. And so, you know, but again, no, but you're making a mistake when you're saying true Americans equals. Don't get into definitions. American nationalists. That is the focus. No, but again, you don't know what you're talking about. Using the term alt-left is not a grave mistake. Using the alt-left is extremely effective. You don't understand the first thing about rhetoric if you don't see what upsets them. You need to understand when you're speaking dialectic and when you're speaking rhetoric. I like control left better too. I would have preferred that myself. It doesn't matter. It's whatever generates the emotional reaction. And clearly alt-left does that. Calling them Antifa doesn't. Calling them alt-left does. I mean, when the Southern Poverty Law Center is already running out, going, there's no such thing as an alt-left. It's a lie, blah, blah, blah. That means that it was an effective rhetorical attack. So, anyhow, I'm already busy writing other books. So, but hey, look, here's the thing. Have faith in yourself and have faith in your beliefs. Love your family, love your nation, love yourself, and love God, and have hope. There's going to be setbacks. There's going to be failures. There's going to be days when things go the other side's way. It doesn't matter. Faith, hope, and love. Have a good evening. And yes, keep your hope in the God Emperor too. People have counted him out time and time again. Don't make the same mistake they have. Have a good evening.